My husband and I, 30s, haven't been on a trip out of the country for years, while he goes every year with his best friend. His reason for going with him is that they both attend sporting events. This year, my husband told me I could go with him and his friend, since they were visiting a new destination. He paid for my ticket and everything else, since I'm a stay-at-home mom and have no job. The kids were left with my mom. However, I found out that he had booked first class for himself and his friend, while I got economy. I just couldn't hold my tongue. I confronted him about it, and he at first refused to discuss it. Then when the argument got heated, he yelled, "I paid for your ticket, isn't that enough?" Then kept on about how I should stop acting like I was royalty, and that if I came to think about it, even economy is fine for me, since I technically don't work anyway. I cried because of what he said, but decided not to go altogether. He changed his tone and started begging me to just go with his plan, but I declined. I went to pick up the kids from my mom's house, and he came back 3 hours later, huffing and puffing about what had happened. His friend sent me a text calling me entitled and said this was why he didn't want my husband to take me with them, and I just proved his point. I didn't respond, but I blocked him, since he's gotten increasingly rude over the past few months. He, my husband, said I keep crying about being excluded, and this is what happens when he finally decides to include me. So, am I the idiot for not settling for the economy seat? By the way, he's perfectly capable of financing the trip. Not the idiot. He said that you technically don't work anyway. Your labor, raising children, running the household, is work, even if it's unpaid. It's work that enables him to work outside the home and also not have to deal with all the childcare and other domestic labor or pay someone to do it. And if this is the division of labor you and your husband have, you stay home, he works for pay. The money he earns at his job isn't his money. It's your money as a couple. You should leave him. He doesn't think of you as a partner or even as a full person. I'm sorry. I know that sucks to hear, but better to get out now than continue to put up with this man and his foolishness. Wow. He and his friends are idiots. Does your husband always treat you as less than? Does he often talk down to you? Exclude you? Treat you poorly? Because if I go off this post alone, you need to get out and take your kids with you. Find someone who genuinely loves and respects you. He doesn't care about you as much as he does about his friend, which is backward as heck. Is he having an affair with his friend? Or does he just disrespect and not value you as much as he does his friend? Is this just his general view of women? You as his wife and the mother of his children should always take priority over his friend. Why don't you? The fact that his friend texted you to insult you? Screw his friend. He should mind his business. And bringing up why he doesn't take you is sus. Because then that means there's been a reason why they haven't included you on these sports trips. Which sounds like total bull. Because what sport has been happening yearly at the same destination that's so important for men in their 30s to attend out of state? And he can buy this friend expensive crap but not you, who's literally full-time taking care of his kids for free? Your husband is working the bare minimum. Also, I'm just wondering if something else is going on with these two. A true friend would have said, "Oh my gosh, this is awful. I'm switching seats with you, so you sit with your spouse, and not arguing with you." But seriously, OP, why stay with a man who clearly has zero respect for you? Then when you get divorced, you'll be surprised to learn the money belongs to both of you, regardless of who earns it. Our daughter is turning 18 next month. She's a great kid, always pulled straight A's, is never in any type of trouble, and she's very respectful. However, my wife recently decided to have a talk with her about adult responsibilities. I didn't know about this conversation until my daughter came to me crying because she was scared about living alone. I was initially confused, but then she told me that her mother said she needs to start looking for a job because she'll be expected to get her own place after her birthday. I was appalled because we never discussed throwing her out at 18. When I confronted my wife, she said our daughter wasn't a child anymore and needed our push to become an adult. I told her I was baffled she would exclude me from such a serious decision and conversation. I asked my wife how she expects our kid to make it on minimum wage, especially considering our area's rent is out of control. She then informed me she had planned for us to pay half her rent until she was 20. I asked her why she wanted our kid gone so bad. As the argument intensified, I believe she slipped by saying that she needed the space, her bedroom, for her art studio. I couldn't believe it. I told my wife if her hobby was more important than our daughter, she should be the one looking to rent. However, she took that as me saying move out, but that's not how I meant it. I was implying that she should rent more space for her studio and leave our daughter alone. She didn't believe that's what I actually meant. She then gave me the silent treatment for 3 days. Our daughter, however, was still upset as she processed her mother wanting to move out. She realized moving into a rental meant leaving her 2 cats behind. She's had these cats since she was a young child, and that alone devastated her. She told me, I don't want to turn 18. I don't want to celebrate my birthday. I picked the argument back up with my wife at that point. I said our daughter isn't moving out until she decides on her terms because she's more important than you or your hobby. She looked stunned, and maybe I didn't choose my words wisely in the heat of the moment. I couldn't bear to see our daughter so upset any longer. I don't want her struggling to make ends meet and unable to follow her dreams. The last thing I want for her is to feel rushed. As far as my wife goes, she's not talking to me at all, and she's been cold towards our daughter. Not the idiot, your wife is. While 18 may very well be the age you become an adult, 18 is not an age where most people are prepared to live on their own. Your wife is wrong because she should have had a conversation with you before arbitrarily making an idiot decision. It may be time to take a good hard look at your marriage. Putting an art studio ahead of a child's welfare and well-being is ludicrous. Not to mention, you don't stop being a parent when your child is 18 or 20 or any other age. You should be there for your kid, and they'll be there for you. If the daughter's kicked out to make space for an art studio, I doubt she'd feel good coming to her parents for help if she ever needs it. I definitely wouldn't. Does she even like her daughter? Is she her stepmom or what? This is the hill to die on. You weren't that far off when you said maybe your wife should rent instead. How unbelievably cruel is she to her child to prioritize an art room over her daughter? Parents who kick out their kids and expect them to be financially independent as soon as they're legal are setting them up for failure. You are the idiot because you made your wife the villain and have clearly put a line in the sand about who's more important, something you won't be able to recant easily, if ever. I have no idea about your history with your wife, but I'd be angry and hurt too if my husband told me my 18-year-old, who I've helped raise, is now more important than me as your partner. Agree. Dude, you should have been preparing your daughter for adulthood for years. Now all of a sudden she's facing the reality of adulting, and she's that unprepared? What high school graduate cries and begs theatrically at the idea of getting a job in an apartment of her own? What did this girl expect to be doing with her adult life, if not either college or a career? Part of the work of parenting is preparing the kid to be independent. I recently got married and moved to Italy to live with my husband and his family. My husband had some work he needed to do on my first official day of living in Italy, so he asked his younger brother and his other brother's wife to show me around. His brother's wife is lovely, but his younger brother is his wife tried to salvage the situation by telling me to ignore him and suggesting we go shopping. Even the way he agreed to us shopping was annoying, so I was just very annoyed by the time I decided to use the crowd to ditch them and leave. I ended up going to meet my husband and his other brother. My husband was upset I was alone and wanted to know what happened. My husband blew up at his younger brother, who was upset that I left the way I did and made them waste time searching for me when he saw him. He insisted I had issues, and it wasn't his fault that I didn't understand that my loyalties should be to my husband now. I told him he was angry that a little girl had bested him, making him even angrier. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot, but you're hilarious. I can understand your husband being disturbed that you're alone in a country new to you, and because his brother ran you off. Inform your husband that you no longer want to be set up to be shown anything by the disrespectful brother that's barely an adult trying to talk down to you. I do think you need to apologize to sister-in-law though. You probably made her worry. It sounds like they live in a very old-fashioned belief that women are mere accessories and should listen to men. You did the right thing. Don't dare allow this little boy to start telling you how to feel and how you should be acting. He might live in the old ways, but you don't. Of course, I'm also assuming you're not Italian, so you're not obligated to change your ways to fit in. I can't stop laughing at this chauvinist idiot. Someone's big boy hair must have just come, and they don't know how to handle all that raw masculinity yet. Ha ha. Good for you for pushing back on his misogynistic BS. Also, glad your husband had your back also. My mom married Jeff when I was 6 years old. My dad died 2 months earlier, but my parents were divorced then. Jeff and his daughter Emma lived in another state, and we all moved to a new place to start over. I met Jeff and Emma 2 weeks after my dad died. Mom made a fast move because she could now, with Dad not being able to stop her. Right from the get-go, Emma's been clingy, possessive, and kind of a little creepy too. I didn't like her from the first day we met because she told me Jeff was my dad and that I needed to learn how to be a family with them. After all, she wanted a sister and a mom. It upset me so bad because I was missing my dad. He wasn't gone that long, and I had this strange girl tell me to replace him already. I told her that her dad wasn't my dad, and I miss my dad. She told me she didn't care and things were different. I went to my mom, who told me to give Emma and Jeff a chance, and Emma likely got overexcited. Emma has continuously made life so awkward for me. She insisted we share a bedroom, to which my mom and Jeff said yes, despite having a spare bedroom. She started wearing my clothes and telling me I could wear hers. All of this was fine with Mom and Jeff. She hated how I kept in touch with my best friend back home. She hated it even more when, a year later, my best friend's family moved nearby, and we got to see each other again versus just talking over the phone. She was rude to her, told her to leave me alone, and told me I had to spend time with her instead of my best friend. Emma tore up photos of my dad and told me that he was the past, and that she and Jeff were the future. She didn't get in trouble for that, but then I got into trouble for not letting it go. I was 9 at the time, I think. Emma tells everyone I'm her sister, and we're so close. Whereas I'm more honest with people I'm close to and don't hold back on how unhappy I am at home. Over the years, nothing has changed much, only she's far more obsessive now. Jeff doesn't like me because he really doesn't like that I don't consider him my dad. I don't think of him as a parental figure, even though I know he is. I don't love him and I hate Emma, which he also knows. My mom has talked to me before about being nicer to Emma and to stop pushing her away so much. She got on my case again because I wouldn't go to summer camp with Emma. We're both teens now, by the way, that she wanted to go to, which allowed almost like a sibling experience. Emma went solo and I stayed, so Mom was on me a lot, and I eventually snapped and told Mom that she needed to fix how possessive Emma was and do better by me because I'm her daughter. I lost my dad and she threw me into such a messed up dynamic and never cared about what it did to me. I told her at the very least that she needed to keep Emma away from me. Mom was mad and said I portrayed Emma as some sort of bad person. She's still mad. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Emma sounds terrifying. To want to have a sister and a mom is one thing, but what she's been doing is creepy. From the way you put it, she's trying to alienate you from everyone and force you to accept her and her dad as the only people you can turn to. It sounds like the beginning of a horror movie. On the other hand, your mom is a major idiot for how she's handled things. I would move out at the first opportunity and cut all contact. This is not healthy, and I'm honestly scared for you. How could you see Jeff as a parental figure when he's failed to make you feel safe in your own home? He needs to get his little demon seed child under control. I'm sorry for the loss of your dad and that your mom is checked out from her job as a parent. Maybe try telling your mother that once you're 18, she will only have to worry about one daughter because it seems like she only cares about your step-sibling anyway. Yikes, I'm so sorry. If you can stay with your best friend's family, I'd look into it, and maybe some counseling if you haven't already had any regarding your loss. If I were OP, I would remain silent on my plans and slowly move things out, like contact my paternal grandparents if they're on my side, and get ready to escape. Never disturb the snakes in the grass. My niece, Teen, has lived with me since her parents passed away about a year ago. She knows how to drive, but her driving's not very good. She's only allowed to drive my car when I'm with her to help her learn more. She asked me to let her drive the past few nights, but I was too busy. Last night, she went out of home with my car and slightly hit the wall. I was and still am very angry because my car is new and expensive. I grabbed all her electronics and I told her I'd sell them and use the money to fix my car. She cried and begged me not to because her dad had bought them for her. She promised to pay for them if I didn't sell them, but I don't see that happening because she doesn't have a job. I might be an idiot because I don't need the money and can pay for it myself, but I want to do this to teach her a lesson. My wife says I'm an idiot though, so I don't know. You are the idiot, big time. Teens make mistakes, and her recently dead dad gave her those. You couldn't be a bigger idiot in this situation if you sold them. Forgive her and talk her through it like an adult that's in charge of raising a kid. Agreed. I want to emphasize the part about it being a gift from her dad. I lost my mom when I was a kid, and a former stepmother threw away some of the things of mine like this that my mom had given me. It's been over 13 years, and there's still not a day that I don't wish I had those items. Doing something like that wouldn't be a punishment, it would just be cruel. Agree. Finding some chores or something for her to work off the damage would be the appropriate consequence. Getting rid of the possessions her dead parents gave her is not. Not sure how you find this appropriate. It sounds to me like he's doing it out of spite. He says it's to teach her a lesson, but I think really he's angry, and it's his way of excusing his behavior. Accidents happen. If you want to teach her something, teach her how to drive better. Update. Thank you for your suggestions. When I saw both her and the car were gone, I knew what had happened. All I could think about was what if something had happened. I was so worried and angry I couldn't think straight. I told her I wouldn't sell them, but I'll keep them until she paid for the damage, which she'll do by babysitting our child, a female toddler. I didn't ask her to do this because she's made it clear that she hates babysitting, but she suggested she could do this. So if she wants to do this, it's fine by me.